Welcome everyone to another Telarus executive interview. Today my guest is Chris Jones, head of the AT&T Alliance Channels and ACC Business. Chris, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. I'm thrilled to be here in Salt Lake with you.
You know, well, thank you for being here for the first time.
Absolutely.
We've met in so many different cities at so many different events. It's nice to finally have you in the office for the first time.
It is good to be here in Telarus World Headquarters and see where it all happens.
So it turns out it all happens out there where we've been. And speaking about out there, a lot going on in our history, which is fun to do this interview now and talk a little bit about that. You know, when we started talking 4 years ago, AT&T was making a big push in the channel after kind of a lot of friction in previous years. And when you came, the message really was, hey, we're serious about this. This is a long-term investment. And there were a lot of naysayers back then. I would ask you, what would you say to those naysayers now?
Well, I think what I would say is we're still here, right? And one of the things when we reapproached the channel 4 years ago is we took a long-term viewpoint. We realized that we had a long tail. There was a lot of history that AT&T had with this part of the channel. And if we were going to come back and we were going to be serious, and in some cases I even told people internally that we only had one more opportunity to go address this part of the channel. Because if we came and we said we're in and then we bailed, this group of the industry for the rest of this career span wasn't going to ever trust AT&T, right? And so we took a concerted effort. While we went live 4 years ago, we actually started working on it 5 years ago. We spent an entire year working through the business case and making sure that AT&T understood what we were getting into, so that when we came and did it, we could really be bought into it, and everyone knew what we were doing. And then we understood that it was going to take years to regain people's trust. And so for me, sometimes it's funny, 4 years later, I feel like sometimes I'm still delivering the same message, right? Which is we're here, we're serious, we're not going to bail on people. But we need to keep reminding people. I think, you know, you learn in academics that you have to tell people things 7 times before they believe it. I think we had to tell people 7 times a year, over and over and over, to get people to believe it. But I think the good news is, I think when I go out into the industry and when I go talk to partners, I think people realize that we're serious. We've stayed true to what we said we were going to do. We haven't tried to overcomplicate things. We've been kind of simple, like keep it simple, stupid, so to speak, right? We've gone out there. We're trying to earn the business. And you know, I know you and I, a few days ago, we were talking about kind of like financial advisors, but I view that we have to. It's like a financial advisor. If you're going to change your financial advisor, you don't do it willy-nilly. You're betting your nest egg on it. You have to. That advisor has to earn your trust. We feel like we had to earn the trust of the channel, and you do that one deal at a time. And over time, suddenly people look back and go, I thought AT&T was terrible to work with. What happened? Right? We enjoy working with AT&T, and I think we're in that place now, where people are much more comfortable bringing us to the table, pitching us in front of customers and talking about why we're a good solution for the future.
So you got the marketing message out there, and you've been banging that drum for 4 years. You put the investments in place to make sure that people wanted to work with AT&T, and you have the products there. What kind of evidence do you have, objective evidence that this is working?
Yep. So I think you know there's obviously the internal side where we look at results and we look at the growth that we've had with this community. But the real evidence that I look at is last year we received 39 awards from people like you, from Telarus, and that's not just at a program level. That's not just things that get given to me as an award. It is channel managers, it's our sales engineers, it's our inside sales organization, it's our leadership team, it's our PDMs. The industry, through recognition that comes from partners and comes from the brokers like you, are acknowledging what we're doing. And to me, the best recognition and the best validation that what we're doing is working is the feedback that we get from all of you as you're giving out those annual awards and those monthly awards. I think we won 8 or 9 Telarus Coins of Excellence last year across the team. And we love those awards because it shows that the effort that we're delivering really happens. And to me, what I love to hear, what I take out of that is it's not just a talk track. It's the team is delivering it. And the partners feel it, the brokers feel it, your back offices feel it, and that's the sign that what we're doing is working.
You know, it's interesting. We talk internally about how to measure success in the channel, and it's interesting you bring that up. We talk about, okay, there's revenue that comes at the end of the day. Before that becomes a sale, before that becomes there's an opportunity. But even before that, there are conversations, there's activity, there's effort, there's people building trust. And internally, we just call that momentum.
Yep.
And I wish we could put a measure on that. It sounds like you have that coins of excellence have now become a measure of momentum. But I think it's all of those things you've done that translate into that momentum, which creates trust, which creates opportunities, bookings, revenue.
Well, and the other thing, if I really were to think about 4 years ago, the team we had on the field 4 years ago is completely different than the team we have now, right? When we started this, it was a different mindset for us in terms of how we engage with a broker and your partners. When I look at our channel management team, probably 65% of the team is new to our organization in that time frame. In some cases, they're even new in the last 90 days. We're continually looking at the team, and we're doing a tremendous amount of hiring from the industry. That's another sign that, for me, I take it as a serious sign that people believe in us. We have industry hires, people that you've all worked with over the years that have left where they were to come join AT&T. And in many cases, when those folks went on social media, on LinkedIn, and changed their profile to say they work for AT&T, the comments were, what? You're going to work for AT&T, and you could tell at the beginning, people couldn't understand why they were coming to AT&T. Now, there's no question about it. We're a viable place in the channel. The partners, I think, really believe it. I think that people that work in the industry believe it. And to me, those are the signs, right? And to your point about momentum, there are conversations we used to have to beg our way into. Sometimes I felt like the high school boy just hoping to get to the prom with someone with a date. Now I feel like we're not just begging anyone to take us to the prom, but we're like a viable candidate to take someone to the prom, and people want to go to the prom with us. And it's a silly way to look at it, but we had to earn our opportunity to be included, and I think we're included on a lot of amazing opportunities now.
Well, we have evidence of that. In fact, when I look at success, we look at those things of momentum, we look at opportunities, bookings, and revenue. And last year, of course, AT&T won the award for #1 with Telarus, which was a massive feat considering where AT&T was 5 years ago.
Well, and at the same point, Telarus was our #1 broker last year, right? And I think about, and we joke often, when we first met one another 4.5 years ago, there was a lot of trying to figure each other out and how we were going to work together. And we didn't have a lot of business together, right? And I would argue the business we did together was not intentional. It was because the customer really wanted to buy from AT&T. And so we figured out how to work together. Now, things are so different. And we're really growing together, and there's a lot of good synergy and good focus on how can we grow each of our businesses. Because for us to be successful, we need folks like you to be successful. And the relationship's so different. We're thrilled that you're the #1 broker that we have. I know we did great things together even in cybersecurity.
Well, which is interesting because when you consider that evolution, ACC Business always ranked with us as a provider because they were channel only, because they were easy to do business with, because it was also very transactional years ago when ACC was ranking top with us.
Yep.
But I think you brought all the goodness from ACC into AT&T to get this broader, product set. More sophisticated product set, and also brought ACC up in terms of their expansive product set. So what's interesting to me now is the way we're having success is so different than 5 years ago, and of course orders of magnitude more in terms of sales volume. But let's talk a little bit about how the anatomy of a deal has changed. I mean, the deals we were doing yesteryear, these small transactional deals have really changed. What are you seeing in the pipeline that's different?
So and you even touched on ACC. ACC Business has always been an agent-only model, right? One of the things when we kind of came back into the channel together, we had to work through what is the value proposition. When you're going to have a viable AT&T option and a viable ACC Business option, we had to rework the value proposition. And one of the things that we've seen is that to your point, we did transactions, we were circuits, and we did single circuits. We didn't see a lot of even multi-site circuits. So one of the things as we started working with all the distributors again and the brokers is ACC Business, instead of having single circuits, we started getting multi-site circuits. And it sort of challenged our operations team for a while. Since 90% of what they did were single sites, they had built automation and optimize the process for single sites. Well, when you all start bringing in 20, 30, 50 site deals that we're placing orders on, we had to rebuild everything. So when I look now across our funnel, the amazing thing is we go from the small of the small, ABF circuits, just $50 a month internet circuits, all the way up through and including, we have multi-million-dollar opportunities that we're working on, right? That are complex, they're network deals, they're security deals, they're SD-WAN deals. The complexity of the opportunity is massive. On top of just that, the customers, where we used to be I argued, we were the fifth network provider, right? There was a random location that we were getting involved in. We're now really big customer names that everyone on the broadcast would recognize, are coming to us where we're proposing, whether it's an ACC business opportunity or an AT&T opportunity, where we're there at the table with these really complex solutions. And cybersecurity has changed everything, right? When you really think about it, the pandemic and everything that came out of the pandemic made everyone realize how important it is. We've got all this information traveling through our networks. We have people working from all over now, and all over wasn't secure. And we had such assets inside of AT&T that we could bring out to work with your partners and customers to secure that data. And I don't think people realize some of what AT&T brought to the table, but as we've started having those conversations, the complexity of the deals, the really how important the opportunity is to the customer has completely changed. And to me, it's so exciting. I was looking this morning at just some new opportunities that popped up. Huge co-location deals, huge security deals, huge SD-WAN deals, and things that probably the larger channel don't even think about AT&T for, because we're kind of thought of as a network-only provider. There's so much opportunity in our portfolio, and the work that we're all doing together, the anatomy of the deal is so different.
Yeah, and we've recognized that internally. In fact, our heads of the different advanced solutions, cloud, infrastructure, security, all see AT&T as that player that can bring in these different products to bear, in addition to network. And so I agree. We've seen the same thing. The anatomy of the deal is changing. Therefore, the partners, go-to-market is changing, and also means our support needs to change as well. And I think it has. I think yours has. I think ours has. And to see the spot where we are, it's fun to look back and see where we've come from. But what's most exciting is to see where it's going.
Yeah, I will tell you this, Adam. Telarus had a huge impact on what we've done over the last several years, right? One of the things that we did early on is we had an advisory board where we invited brokers to be a part of it. Richard is your representative, and one of the things Richard hammered us on was not AT&T-izing ACC business, right? That why ACC business was something that the broker community and the partner community valued. And that feedback, when we really started looking at it, we did, to your point, try and take that and apply it to the AT&T side of things. AT&T is a much bigger organization. It's much more complex. We have our direct sales force on that side. But it doesn't mean that how we approach brokers and partners needs to be different. And there was a lot that we learned about it. And I did laugh because Richard was so adamant. I had to go back and sort of do my homework to say, what is so unique and different, right? Because we kind of looked at ACC as this unique thing that we were picking up. But the passion around ACC business and not ruining it, we went and spent a lot of time trying to understand why was it perceived that way. And there's a lot of the ACC business roots that we brought to bear in terms of how we just go to market in this business and how we support distributors and brokers.
Yep, and clearly you did that, and the evidence is there. I want to jump to another topic. The topic du jour, of course, private equity being in the channel. Big movement coming in, both agent roll-ups, you've got TSBs being rolled up, in fact, just a recent transaction. Your view on private equity in the channel, good thing, bad thing, mixed?
I think to be honest with you, I think it's a really good thing. I think it's probably going to create some fear for people out there, because anytime anything changes, people get anxious, right? But at the end of the day, I think it's a sign that this part of the industry, the indirect business, is real, right? When you think about private equity goes where there's upside, right? They're not going to invest the kind of money they're investing in brokers and in partners rolling them up if there's not future upside, right? Private equity, they're not looking for incremental growth. They're looking for large growth. Mm-hmm. And the fact that as much money has come into this part of the industry means they believe in the growth that, very honestly, we on the provider side also believe there's that growth opportunity here. I do think that it's going to drive some evolution of the channel. It's going to drive some, growing up in terms of the channel, in terms of, when you have the kind of people that private equity brings along with it, right? When they invest that kind of money in a broker like you, they're also going to bring their advisors and their consultants and the people that they bring in to make sure that their investments make sense. And that's going to bring in structure and process and things that much larger companies do to go to market to become effective and efficient. And I think that's going to help all of the people that are receiving the investment. And I think it's also going to drive business maturity in terms of how we go to market, how we do things. It's going to allow you all to make much more strategic decisions to say, as there become less brokers out there, your value proposition is going to continue to evolve. How do you continue to attract a partner? In the past, partners may have chose a broker because of pass-through rates. Now, I think you're going to have to continue to up your game in terms of what is the support, what is the strategic viewpoint, how do you help partners think about what technologies are the right technologies. I think that the party mentality of recruiting and onboarding is going to become more of a how do we help you with the technology and how technologies are converging, right? You even think about the recent Channel Partners event, right, where you have all those MSPs there. You've got technology is converging, and there's a lot of real interest in the broker space. And I think that all of this PE money is going to cause you all to say, how do we support and grow the channel differently? You and I have joked that a lot of people talk about how their PE investors are nice people and they're kind people and they're caring and concerned, right? My brother-in-law worked in the PE field and he's very nice and kind, but he's also wicked smart, right? And he's also, when you start talking about the dollar figures that we're talking about, they also have large expectations, and smart people have that other side. They're very business savvy, and they're going to be expecting great returns. And I think that works for all of us because there's a lot of upside, there's a lot of potential, and I think the money and the investment's going to allow people to, instead of just sort of going at it, it's going to be a little bit more thoughtful. There's going to be some different strategies that come out of this going forward.
Yeah, I agree with your points. I think it is a maturation process. I do believe they are investors. They want a return, and how they go about that, though, I believe is also very different. And those that miss the nuance of the channel, that it is truly a relationship business and that your future is dependent on how much people trust you, we could see a lot of money wasted here pretty soon. In fact, I predict that in the next 18 months, people are going to throw away a lot of money. Hopefully some of our friends and our favorites get some of that money.
Yes.
But I do believe if they miss that nuance, those that do exceedingly well in this investment environment, I think are the ones who get what you got when you figured out, hey, let's take what was great about ACC, apply it to AT&T. I think that's the differing factor between those who are successful long-term in the channel and those who flame out short-term.
Well, it's different, but I think back to the dot-com era where there was a ton of money being invested in all kinds of businesses that went nowhere.
Yes,
right? Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Yeah. So I think the next several years is going to be really interesting to watch how the investment causes people to rethink their value prop and rethink their strategies and rethink their approach. And whether it's certifications or the training universities, the things you all do, it has to be a lot more than just social, right? Because I do think the partner influence with the customer is going to change, and I think the broker is going to be driving a lot of how the partner changes their interaction with the customer.
Yeah, good points. Wrapping up here, final thoughts for partners. When partners think of AT&T and the AT&T channel, what should they be thinking of?
I think they should really be thinking about us as a place to go that has opportunity and choice, right? And that's not traditionally what people thought about. But when you think about AT&T, there is a collaborative teaming approach where you can come in and you can work with AT&T and you can team with our 10,000 person strong direct sales force that go to market with our sellers and collaboratively with our direct sales force position solutions that are in the customer's best interest. At the same point, we have a non-teaming approach, right? And that's our ACC business portfolio. And in that case, there are a lot of partners out there that don't want to have a direct sales force involved. They might want to position solutions that come from a variety of providers, and having a direct salesperson collaborating with you can be challenging if you're trying to recommend a solution that doesn't come from our portfolio. And so the ACC business opportunity really allows a partner that wants to kind of control the conversation with the customer, dictate where it's going, not have to be competing with a direct seller on it in a collaborative way. We have this non-teaming approach called ACC Business, right? There's a little more financial upside when you sell it on the ACC Business side. There's a little bit less financial when you have the teaming environment, but we have opportunity, right? I think traditionally when people thought about AT&T, we were a little bit of a one-size-fits-all. Now, when I look at the events that we go to, there are suppliers out there that talk about we're channel only. We don't have a direct sales force. We only go to market through the channel. Well, guess what? I'm channel only too. It's called ACC Business. We only go to market through ACC Business through the channel. At the same point, when you see the value of teaming, that's AT&T as well. So we offer both of those opportunities. At the same point, fiber is at our core. Wireless, we don't talk about wireless that much, but when you think about AT&T, the evolution of 5G, what's happening with the Internet of Things, that is our bread and butter, right? And there's a lot that people don't think about there. And then you get into things like SD-WAN, cybersecurity, co-location, where this is going. There's so much opportunity with AT&T. And as I tell everyone, if we have a long history, every single person I meet and tell them that I'm a part of the channel at AT&T, they can give me a war story about how we did something in the past, whether we dealt with a customer or some issue. Everyone has an opportunity. The question I always ask them is, how recent was it? How recent was your last interaction with AT&T? Because if you haven't tried to work with us in the last 6 months, the experience is going to be completely different, even over the last 4 years. Every month, we're really looking at how do we improve, how do we change the experience for you all and your partners in terms of how they work with us. And so the experience is constantly changing. And so my message to your larger community is, if you haven't worked with us, give us a chance. Let us earn the opportunity to have that second chance. And what I'm seeing is, more often than not, we get that first opportunity. We have to work really hard to get a partner to even pitch us. The second opportunity comes that much faster. The third opportunity comes that much faster. And we're earning the opportunity to be at the table. And I think that's an approach that I think everyone needs to realize is we're looking not to demand that people do business with us. We want to earn the opportunity to work on this deal and the next deal and future deals and become that provider that partners want to work with to build their business around. And we're thrilled to work with Telarus to do that together, because we believe that combination, the sort of three-legged combination of the partner, Telarus, and our company creates a great situation for the future.
Well, and you've proven it. From 4 years ago, when you laid out the plan, you made the pitch, and people kind of shrugged their shoulders. You got the momentum, you got the bookings, you got the revenue that shows that you were serious about it. So thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you for being an incredible partner to Telarus. And I look forward to continuing the trajectory.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone out there for what you've done to help us grow our business together.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.